Yo, what's going on, you guys? We have a brand new episode of Marvel Yap today, episode number 22. We're going to be breaking down December. Was it a success? Was it a failure? Also going to be breaking down the January season, which we are now in today, rightfully so, with the Dark Avengers. And then we're also going to be talking about 2025. What would we like to see added to Marvel Snap in 2025? Is China doing it better? Who knows? Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we're joined with the hostest with the mostest, not my Dance. How are we doing today, Dance?
Doing absolutely great, Doug. It's been a good day so far. I'm excited for the new season dropping later today. It's gonna be an absolute blast. It's a lot of fun cards, and I don't know. I'm excited for the change in pace. I'm excited to see some of these new cards because it really feels like this. They've been. I don't know if it's just been you, but it feels, or it's just been me feeling this, but I feel like a lot of the cards that are coming out this season in particular really feel like they're meant to buff those earlier decks. We're going to talk about that more probably whenever we talk about that section, but I'm really stoked about that. But how are you doing, man? I'm doing
fantastic. It was a solid weekend. Got to watch WWE last night for the first time on Netflix, which is huge. That was a great success. But I do agree. The more, after you said it, I hadn't thought about it entirely. I thought about, with the card that came out today. I thought about it, with Iron Patriot and thought about it with Victoria Hand. But I didn't think about it with every card coming out. Actually does really benefit the earlier collection levels and the earlier pools. So it's a good time to be opening spotlights. And I think some of these weeks, maybe people aren't so high on, but holistically are pretty solid weeks to open. But anywho, we're kind of jumping the shark here. The topics for today, Dance. Do you remember the topics for today?
Well, I mean, we're going to start off obviously talking about December, how the rival season went, the cards inside of it, just the season as a whole, how it felt. And then we'll get to the shark that we've been jumping. Talk about the January season, see exactly what our opinions are of the cards coming out today and for the rest of the month. And last but not least, what we couldn't get to last week due to just an exorbitant amount of yapping, are the wish list for what we want in 2025.
Yeah, good stuff. We got a lot of great stuff on our plates today that you guys are gonna be eating up. But anywho, December season. So far, before we even just jump into the stats of it, we had a collab with Marvel Rivals and Marvel Snap, where we brought over some characters from Marvel Rivals into Marvel Snap. Some characters that had already been in Marvel Snap, such as Rocket and Groot, just kind of got merged into one card, which is honestly better than any of the other Guardians cards in the game. But anywho, what did you think about the collab overall? Do you think it went well for Snap?
I think the collab did exactly what it was supposed to do. However, I don't think I really care much about it holistically, on the other side of it now. It really, in the biggest part about it this season, it feels like, was obviously there were so many rival skins. All the cards were obviously themed after cards inside of Marvel Rivals. But in general, I don't know. Maybe I think it's just me that just really didn't feel like this season was super exciting personally. Again, that's nothing to do with the way even the cards were, the season pass, anything like that. It just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like in general it just wasn't super, I didn't feel as tied into the season as, again, I mentioned this previously when we did, by the way, we did guest star on the Snapcast recently this week, but I mentioned it there. I really felt like this season just felt like just like a slap of a skin, just threw some Marvel Rivals brand on top of Marvel Snap as we knew it.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking back to the Surtur season, the Symbiote season, the Spider-Man, all of those seasons, I feel like I felt a lot more into it. Maybe that was the meta. Maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but at least this season, it didn't feel as tight for myself. But how about you?
Yeah, I think this season felt like a weaker season for Snap. It's the end of the year. It kind of felt like it was dragging a bit. Maybe it's also because I wasn't playing as much Snap. I totally felt that way, which I could totally own that. But it felt like the cards that came out were just, we're putting these cards in the game because we have a collab with Rivals. It didn't really feel like it added too many layers of value. I don't know if that's how you say to it.
I don't think it's the right word, but I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah. You're wrong in the word, but but you're coming across. Yeah.
Okay. Like it was cool to see like Rocket and Groot is cool because it's a new kind of function, you know, combining two different things together. Luna Snow was interesting. Bruce Banner was horrible. I mean, Doom 2099 was just boring, like really, really boring, but good. Like a good boring card. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think the card's bad at all. Galacta is just, you know, a more expensive Elsa with less conditions, which made her really cool, and I like the way that ability worked, which was really cool to see, like, especially getting, like, some Surfer value, another Surfer card that's not a 3 cost, which was really cool. And then, what else did we have? We had Penny Parker, which was interesting. It was going to be a really cool mechanic and stuff. It just, like, I don't know, the meta just wasn't maybe in the right spot. I mean, people were already playing Wiccan, and it was a cool card to add to Wiccan. It felt great in Phoenix Force, but I don't know. It just wasn't super satisfying playing Snap because I felt like there wasn't all that much to do, except this past week with High Voltage felt great. Just being able to play a mode, kind of just like brainlessly go into something. I'm playing Mr. Negative, and I'm playing Mr. Negative even post High Voltage now and having fun doing that. But it just felt like not having to win every single game to get a reward felt really satisfying. Being able to complete missions, being able to complete bounties, and just do whatever. If someone emotes you, you're like, bro, I'm playing a 3-turn game. I'm good for you for winning. You don't really get anything extra than I'm getting, so whatever. But no, it felt good there, and then they took it away, and now we're stuck still with Conquest and Ranked.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot more Conquest because I kind of realized that I had 50 gold tickets, so I've been playing a lot of it. You just forget about that stuff, and you're just like, oh yeah, I guess I have this. That's kind of just been building up. I think I've got 35 gold tickets going into the next season.
Gosh.
I tried to burn through them. It's just so dang many.
Well, spend them so you get the medals, and then spend the medals so you don't, because the booster transfers bad. At least.
Yeah. But I will say I'm stoked about the patch coming out next week, so that it's going to like lower the rates of those gold ticket, or like it's merging the gold ticket rate with some cosmetics, and it's a whole thing going on. I don't remember all the specifics, but I really like that stuff, and that I'm stoked about that for. I don't know. In general, I'm stoked about that. A lot of stuff for this upcoming season, but I don't. As much as I feel like really mid on the season, I don't think it was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I didn't like the which season was it? It was the Hellfire Gala season. From I want to say it was actually December of not last year, but year before last.
It's every December.
Yeah, I feel like the December season just kind of is weaker. So I'm hoping that that this season and the upcoming seasons are going to feel really fresh, really fun, and I'm personally excited about just that stuff in general. But not to go too far in the future. I don't know. How did the cards of this month do for you before we even talk about like the ranked stuff? Because I have our previous rankings of what we said all the cards were.
Right.
And not at the end of this season. What is your favorite and what are your least favorite and favorite cards? I think coming out of this season.
My least favorite card of the season is definitely going to be Bruce Banner. Definitely Bruce Banner, and probably my favorite would have to be Galacta. I mean, I remember what I rated at number 1, and I still enjoy Penny, but it's not the same as I think what I got from Galacta overall, and I just think Bruce Banner is just bad.
Yeah, Bruce Banner is bad. I've really tried playing a lot with him. I wish he could win. He can't. I've tried a lot. He's a fun card, but it's just not good. Yeah. So Tucker, when you went into this season going with, right? So you did, like you mentioned, Penny Parker was your number 1.
Yep.
You had Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot as your number 2.
Okay.
Do you think they're still there at least? Or how?
I think Rocket and Groot probably would be number 2, yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe Penny gone to number 3, or where is she now?
Yeah. Penny probably would be 3, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm going to guess the rest of your list stays pretty much the same, because then Doom 2099 at number 4, 5 at Luna Snow. Bruce Banner was actually 6, and Lasher was 7, so I'm going to guess in the end your list is probably pretty close. Your top 3 Penny and Galacta swapping up, as well as Bruce Banner being a little worse than you expected. But in general, you got pretty close to what you actually thought this season was going to be for yourself. So I'm gonna give you props there.
Okay, what about you? How are you thinking from your rankings?
I think I want to put an asterisk because I remember my number one. My number one was Doom 2099, and I said very clearly this is a card that I'm very excited about, and I expect to be bored of so quickly. I have definitively hit that. I am definitively bored of Doom 2099, but I did have fun with it during the time when I was playing it. So I'll give him that much. I do think that Rocket and Groot have kind of have skyrocketed in my list.
Okay.
I don't think I was accurate in my list in this latest.
Okay.
Looking back at this season, I think that I was entirely wrong. I think Luna Snow is my lowest actually, and Rocket and Groot's my number one.
Okay.
I'm surprised by that. I'm saying it now. I hadn't really thought of it until I just said it, but I don't disagree. Even last year, I enjoyed more. I tried playing him in hand pump stuff. It wasn't good, but again, I had fun with him, and that was really enjoyable.
Yes.
So whether or not this is like an actual like strength tier list, it's not. I really think that Rocket and Groot were an absolute blast. I went into last week saying that I had no faith, no hope in them whatsoever. I did get an Infinity Avatar with Rocket and Groot. So I can't say that they are like that bad anymore because they really aren't. Tucker, I played a deck with Drax and got an Infinity Avatar. That's how good Rocket and Groot are.
The other 11 cards carried the game over Mr. Drax.
Well, here's the thing. I had Drax. I had Jean Grey in there. I've got Star-Lord, Groot. Like the cards that you don't expect to be good. I played a deck full of those cards. And Rocket and Groot literally just saved that entire deck.
The Jean Grey just synergy with it. Even like if you don't have Jean Grey down, just like the whole mental of if they move Rocket and Groot, yeah, they're going to take 1 power from my card, woohoo. But that 1 power can add up. And like Rocket and Groot can literally feast.
Yeah, and also being able to let them sit in the lane, and then you play your first card into another lane away from the Jean Grey bonus. They're sitting the Jean Grey bonus, and then you move it away to just win 2 other lanes and just abandon the Jean Grey lane at the end. So good.
Yeah, no, that card is cheeky.
Yeah, it's really fun. Again, I don't think that the deck I was playing was great. I had a blast with it, but the card is really good, and I really enjoyed that bit. So there are plenty of parts of this season that I think were middling, but in general, I think that there were definitely some fun cards, but some cards that really stunk. And if we want to talk about the competitiveness of these cards, we can now, because I've really loved Bruce Banner, Tucker. He was not.
You really loved Bruce Banner, you're saying?
I still want to love him. I still have him in a deck, but I know for a fact that that's a cope deck.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe it's a cope because he takes up a card slot, but that doesn't mean like that deck isn't applicable. It just means maybe in his area he's just a little eh.
I had Luna Snow in there as well, so it's pretty cope.
I honestly didn't realize she was that low on the the rankings and everything.
Yeah, this is public stats, so obviously stats can definitely change from behind the scenes from what we actually talked about here. But even when talking about these top cards here, I don't really know if I have many issues with a lot of these cards.
Define issue.
I don't take issue personally with the fact that Galacta and Doom 2099 are so high up on the list. I think Galacta's a fun card and good, but she's using pass, and that's how it works. Doom 2099 is exactly one deck that it enables. Maybe it's the Doom 2099 as well as Doctor Doom that you can just put into any package, and that kind of works there. But I don't have issue with those cards being so good. I don't think they're broken.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're broken. Sorry, I'm laughing. My wife just appeared outside my door. We're gonna be out of town this next week, and she is dressed up as Wanda, and she's pregnant Wanda from WandaVision, and she has the Wanda redhead wig on right now, and she's naturally has black hair, and it completely caught me off guard. But it looks great, and a lot of people are gonna love it because we're doing Run Disney, which is an event for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and a bunch of other just charities, and lymphoma. Then they all come together and we all run at Disney World and stuff. So that's a little side tangent while we're talking about the stats over here, but it completely caught me off guard. That's why I kept looking over because I was like, what is happening? But no, I agree. I don't think any of these cards feel like they are overstepping or oppressive. I feel like there's definitely an answer to some of them. Maybe you can't answer Doom 2099 as feasibly as other cards because it's the randomness of where this is going to go, potentially kind of thing. Like I say that with an asterisk as well, because of course there's like still like ways you can mess around with it. But I don't feel like, any of these cards are like, man, I hate that this card's in the game. I wish that they had done something differently. This feels like, okay, they're in the game. I can still play some other lists. Like the meta is kind of just still open. This deck beats that deck. That deck is countered by this deck. Like it just feels like it's okay.
Yeah.
And we're safe.
I think at the end of it, the biggest thing I'm kind of feeling is I wish Luna Snow and Bruce. I think I wouldn't mind if they got love. I really wouldn't. But I don't know if I even want to say too much there because it's like I'm kind of scared about that.
Yeah.
About those cards being really good. Maybe not even Luna Snow. Bruce could be really, really scary at a better card, better statted card. But I feel like in general, maybe they get some love. I don't even know if they will. Lasher's a card that I kind of don't think they're going to change because in the same way that they haven't buffed Scarlet Spider is basically a 2 times activate ability.
Yes.
Lasher is pretty much the same. It's just kind of difficult to ramp out those cards, and I feel like as more and more time goes on, we're going to get more and more ways to buff those cards.
Yeah, I think
More
that's a
cards
really fair assessment there.
Yeah, more ways to buff the cards, and I think as that happens, as the Galactas, the Gwenpools, and cards that are similar come out, those are going to feel better and better. And so I'm kind of okay with Lasher existing where he is, but yeah, in general, I actually really enjoyed a lot of this season. It was, I don't know, the cards felt good, maybe not some better than others, but nothing broken, and at least some of the weeks you definitely found like the meta was directly impacted.
Yes. And I think I'm really starting to wonder, like, with the success or the way that Lasher entered the meta, is it finally going to put into their brain prospectively, we need to do something about Activate or make these Activate cards, I don't know, different in some sort of way when we make new Activate? Or is it going to be after Bullseye when they can really look prospectively and see if we need to change the way we kind of make some of these cards? Not saying Lasher is a bad card. It's just Activate still feels weird, I would say, in the normal kind of game of Marvel Snap.
Yeah, Activate's definitely a strange still ability for a lot of the cards that we have. And there are many times where I feel like I would have just preferred to, have it activate as soon as it hits the board. I don't know if they could ever really do that, which is annoying to me. But like, I could easily see a world where you do want them to get extra love, extra power. I really don't know how you can do that because some of the cards that are activatable really make sense. Like actually, Fenris Wolf's in one of the top decks right now. And what is it? Even though Lasher isn't incredible, there are still definitely other cards that are working well as this activate synergy. What is it? I've enjoyed the Black Swan stuff, and I don't know. I don't know if I can even say that the cards are bad. I just think that they definitely should. Something should be occurring in the future.
Yes, I'm interested to see what happens with it and stuff too, but. We did have something weird happen just out of the blue to end December, which I'm still like, I don't know. I still was like, wait, this is actually a thing. And we have collector's chests that just literally just appeared out of nowhere and just said, hey, you won at reset. And then if you win 5 matches, you get another one and you get like exclusive rewards, whatever things or something.
This is cool.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of, what is it? Like, there was a data mine forever ago about, like, snap packs. It kind of reminds me of those. At the same time, my biggest thing that I feel about this, as I've now redeemed a few of them myself, why aren't these built into the client? Yes! Like, why?
Every event.
If I'm on...
Every event's like this, too. You have to, like, exit and stuff.
Do you remember when they did, like, a bunch of events? Remember there was, like, I want to say it was the Chinese New Year last year. Then there was a couple other ones, I feel like, right initially when Snap launched, and all of those were just to port into the game. And it works on mobile because it kind of like just gives you it does a web page inside of itself, but especially on desktop, it feels rough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, it's cool. It's free stuff. I'm not going to complain about free stuff, which is nice. Have I gotten anything other than the 50 boosters? Maybe once. But in general, I mean, it's free stuff. I'm not going to complain about it. I definitely, it just kind of makes me feel like, okay, this is cool. Just streamline.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing too. Like they had the Venom and Carnage one. They've had a couple of like voting kind of things, but they still they don't feel like they merge well with what you're on. Like it just felt weird. I mean, it's cool to have these extra rewards. My first one, I got a mystery variant. Since then, I've gotten boosters and 50 credits. So, I mean,
that's fair. Yeah.
It's been decent. But I wish it counted Proving Grounds games because then I would just be playing Proving Grounds. I don't really care for ladder sometimes.
Well, just get 40 gold tickets. You'll be fine. It's easy. I don't know why this is a problem. Just 40 gold tickets.
Just
you'll
just
have
40 gold tickets.
It's simple.
But
Killed Batman.
With that with that in mind, now we're gonna move over to the January season, which we do have a season pass card coming out at the same time as a just spotlight, whichever spotlight week over here. Do we want to talk about the spotlight week first before?
I feel like let's talk about the highlight. Let's talk about the highlight of the month. Because I've got a hot take about this card.
Okay.
Tell everyone what it does. Tell everyone what it does before I.
So we have Iron Patriot, which is going to be the brand new series pass card or season pass card. It is going to be a 2-cost, 3-powered on reveal add a random 4, 5, or 6-cost card to your hand. If you're winning here after next turn, give it -4 cost.
I'm not excited about this card.
Really?
One of the things we're going to do differently for this season, we're going to actually try to build some decks based off of these cards and try to figure out, at least try to make some guesses around where we think this card will take into the meta. And at the end of this month, we'll revisit that and see, how close we were. When I was trying to build with Iron Patriot, I realized I couldn't build effectively with him, I feel like. I think he's just going to kind of fit into a generic good cards list.
Okay.
And because of that, I'm not excited about him. I just don't I don't think he's going to be bad. I'm not going to say that. I think he's going to be a fine card. But when I look at him, when I'm looking at all the the combos you can do with him.
Yeah.
I kind of just was whelmed. I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of really crazy things you can do. Maybe there's going to be some fun stuff, but I honestly think this is going to be a season where the season pass card, I don't know if it's going to require a buff, but I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say Iron Patriot's going to kind of miss.
Okay. And is it so like I think I'm going to like this card. I think the RNG aspect's cool and I understand why people are high on it. I told people to get this card. I tell people to get every season pass card because it's just worth to get the season pass. But I'm curious, is the reason you're also not super high on this card because it kind of gives you Valentina vibes?
A little bit, yeah. I think it is a little bit the fact that it is kind of giving Valentina here, but it's also due to the fact that I just don't... It kind of reminds me of Emperor Hulkling.
Okay.
Why do I need this? Why do I need Iron Patriot to serve the role that I technically could do with Agent Coulson, who gives me more cards, with Valentina, who gives me a definitive 6-cost card.
Yeah.
And then I have to fight for the locations. Well, maybe it'll still be fine, right? But when I'm looking at this card, it feels very narrow in its application because it doesn't... When we talk about the next card coming out this month, or the same week, there's a role that Victoria Hand has.
Yeah.
But when I look at Iron Patriot, I don't see a card that has a role. I just see this is a card generator that we technically already have options for. Yeah. That's my logic, though. I'm willing to be wrong, but that's why I'm going in with the hot take there.
Yeah, I think, it feels like we've had back-to-back seasons now where they give us a card that potentially could be good for Wiccan. Even though Wiccan's already a really good card and has a pretty good shell. which I think that's what a lot of people are going to be doing, is making Iron Patriot into Awakened stuff, for what I've seen on Twitter and like what I've seen other people talk about. Like, it makes sense, like the practicality there. So I'm very interested to see how this falls, how often people are playing into the Iron Patriot lanes, how often we're seeing more Mobius. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what people do to counter Iron Patriot based on play rate. Because if we looked at Galacta too, Galacta is still played right now. I think had like a 29% play rate. So she still gets played throughout the entirety of the season, which means Iron Patriot probably will get played as well. And like, I like this card. I think it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to have a lot of high rolls that are going to be great, and they're going to have a lot of low rolls that are going to be really bad. So it's just trying to find the balance between both of those. But
that's why I'm kind of worried about this card as well.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like there are a lot more low rolls, especially due to the fact that, again, mentioning Coulson at least gives you two options. Iron Patriot, if you just get a bad card, you just get a bad card at that point.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why you you can choose to not win his location after the next turn. You can be like, I don't care about this card. Man in this lane, your opponent doesn't think about it. But what do you? I said we built some decks for this. What did you build for Iron Patriot?
So I built a Noki list, kind of similar to what was a really popular list earlier on not last season, which is kind of just a RNG dependent kind of shell 2 with Iron Patriot, Kate Bishop. You also have the Valentina, and then you have some tech with it as well, with Red Guardian, Shadow King, US Agent, Shang-Chi, and of course Luke Cage to kind of have that, Dance's favorite card. And then Mockingbird as another potential out. And of course, these generated cards also help your Collector. So Collector can get a buff from Iron Patriot, Kate Bishop, Valentina. So he can go to a 2/6, which maybe is not the most optimal. Maybe you could do a Fenris in here potentially instead with some Gladiator US Agent stuff. But it's kind of just where I went, kind of doing a little bit of a blast from the past kind of thing. Not the maybe most optimal Collector list, but a lot of different counters potentially to what your opponent's playing, as well as unknown because they don't necessarily know what you've actually gotten from your generated cards.
Yeah, no, because that's exactly what I was thinking about when I saw this list. I could be entirely wrong, but I'm saying it based off of me just looking. The Mockingbird, Quinjet, Collector stuff, I feel like is probably going to be the weakest part of this package.
Yes.
Whereas the rest of this is just good cards.
Yes.
And I think that's I think if you just take those three and you just put in good cards in the deck and you get these big powerhouses, I think this deck could really pop off. I think that's really where, like I said, Iron Patriot will pop off. US Agent's just a great card. Valentina, you got the Luke Cage there as well to counter all that stuff. You have K Bishop, again, just good generators. You have a lot of options in that front that I think will be really interesting and really cool. And that's where I really feel like I said, Iron Patriot's going to shine. Putting him in a good card list where he can just generate, hopefully, a good card. In the same way that if you get Valentina getting a 4/4 or 4/5 Hela, I'm probably not playing her.
Right.
But if I get roll the Iron Patriot and all of a sudden I get a 0/3 Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So that's exactly that part of the list is really where I think that we're going to see a lot of Iron Patriot shine. It's going to be a very interesting time for it. But it's also kind of what led me just kind of thinking good cards. It's what led me to where I wanted to bring with this card. I was thinking Mill. Because, again, you're putting a lot of these just powerful cards, these good cards in a deck. And I think that Iron Patriot just is an additional line. It just is an additional card, which is you already have a bunch of different ways that you can be trying to win locations. With your Gladiator, you have your Negasonic as well. You've got Fenris Wolf. Even if you don't play it directly on turn 2, you're playing it on turn 4. If you draw even later in the game, you've got Magic to let you win for an extra turn. You have a lot of options on that front where you're just putting down big cards and powerful cards. And that's kind of my logic here. Because when I'm trying to think of a good card list, I didn't really like Sarah, the idea of Sarah stuff. Because I think you want the Negasonic. I think you want Gladiator. And then you've got your Fenris Wolf to pay off for that. Yondu, you just have a lot of different lines. And so that's where I really wanted to take my idea with Iron Patriot personally.
Yeah, I see where your head's at here too. It kind of seems like an old school kind of mill thing. And then, like, you have Negasonic after you'd played Iron Patriot to kind of potentially solidify that lane to be able to get the value. Same with Gladiator. You're running Doc Ock 2 to, grab stuff out of their hand. Mill, of course, I love Mill, but like Mill just is very interesting into Snap because Mill's always lower tier, because if Mill does get good, it's really bad for the game. But I think this is a nice fun take on it, opposed to like what everyone else is going to be doing as well. You have the counter tech options, you have Red Hulk, so you're slamming big stuff down, and you have your Unknown with Iron Patriot, your Fenris Wolf they have to be wary about because you have your Gladiator, you have your Shang-Chi as well, and then your Shadow King to offset anything maybe Spider-Ham hits or any other stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
I see the vision here. I think this will be very fun.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. I think, I don't know if Iron Patriot's going to be really good, and I think that's why I'm not willing to say definitively that he's going to be bad, because of the fact that he basically is an RNG fiesta all inside of him, because you don't know what he's going to be drawing here, and it's just going to hopefully be a good card. I kind of think it's going to be a similar role to what Valentina does, but not 1-to-1. Yeah. And so that's where that's what I'm liking with him, but it's also why I don't like him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally track with what you're saying there. With that in mind, that's Iron Patriot, who's the brand new season pass card coming out. We also do have another card coming out, and that is going to be good old Victoria Hand. And like Dan said, she does work with Iron Patriot as well, because Victoria Hand reads, she is a 2-cost, 3-powered card. Ongoing, your cards that were created in your hand have +2 power.
She's going to be, I just think, and this is part of the reason why I said she's going to be good for earlier players. Collector Devil Dino stuff is just really solid early game. And so I feel like this is going to be really solid with that. And honestly, are we starting off the season with the best Spotlight cache of the season? Not to spoil stuff here, but like, when I look through the rest of it, it's not super exciting. I think that what is it? Especially with Kate Bishop already returning to Spotlight caches, and we still haven't seen Blink. Kate Bishop is another great card that I always recommend, and she also works with Victoria Hand. Grandmaster is not a bad card anymore, at least, but like, I don't know. Victoria Hand, at least with this stuff, feels like it might be a pretty solid week in order to recommend to people. So I don't hate this week.
No, I think Spotlight-wise, this is a really good week to open. Grandmaster and Kate Bishop are both very flexible cards that you can play into a large variety of archetypes, which is really solid. And like Dan said, Victoria Hand works really well with Kate Bishop too. Even if you get the Acid Arrow, yes, in your hand, it's going to get 0 power because it gets +2 because it's -2. But when it goes over to your opponent's side of the board, it's going to be -2 still. So just keep that in mind for a second.
And even if they have a Victoria Hand, it doesn't matter because Victoria's hand ability specifies cards that generated in your hand.
Yes, exactly. So it's a solid week. And I think this card, too, is going to be very interesting. With that in mind, Dan, do you want to talk about your list that you made for a good old Victoria Hand?
I am really hoping, and I don't believe it will, but I want to cope, and I want to believe that this list could bring Devil Dino back. Or that she could bring Devil Dino back into the game, because it feels like a fun idea. And actually, I didn't put Iron Patriot in this list. It was a card that I'd originally, I'm like, yes, obviously it goes together. But the more I thought about it, the more careful I wanted to be, because also you mentioned earlier that Wiccan is just a really good card with a lot of the stuff that is going to be coming out this season, especially this one, because I liked the collector build. You have Kitty Pryde, you've got your Quinjet in order to make all the cards cheaper, Maria Hill, Snowguard, Kate, Victoria Hand, Coulson, Shang-Chi, Moon Girl, all the generators possible, Wiccan for the extra power, and then you still have Devil Dino as an additional extra payoff, other than the Victoria Hand payoff that you're also going to get. So in general, I really like a lot of the stuff here. It's gonna be hopefully fun. I have no idea if Victoria Hand is going to let Devil Dino be its own deck again. Do I hope and pray that it does? Yes. Do I truly believe it will? Please don't ask me that question. I don't want to lie under oath. Sorry, I've been watching Suits. No, I like the card. Hopefully it's going to be a fun time. I think this is the first deck I really want to start the new season with. I think this is where I want to be able to do a lot of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I like the Devil Dino Cope Train I had something similar, not Wiccan wise, that I was kind of looking at prior to like showing you the deck that I chose. And I know Ika's going to try and do something with Devil Dino too. So I think Devil Dino with Victoria Hand makes a lot of sense. And like we can make some of these decks more like Series 2, Series 3 friendly as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, the only two Series 4 plus cards that this deck in particular has is Cape Bishop and Victoria Hand, which guess what?
And
if
Wiccan.
you've got 4 keys. Oh yeah, Wiccan too. Oh shoot. All right, ignore the Wiccan. If you've got 4 keys, you can at least get 2 of them. So you're already halfway there.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be fun. I think like you may not even have to have Wiccan in this list. Like I think there's a bunch of options you can play, like Devil Dino 5, and let's say okay, so like you play Moon Girl on 4, okay. You Devil Dino on 5. You have another Devil Dino. You could play Devil Dino and Snow Guard and get extra value on 6 potentially too to kind of solidify stuff. And then of course,
I also had a Rogue in the deck at one point, which I also think could probably work pretty well instead of Wiccan.
Yeah,
if you're coping there. But anyway.
Or yeah. Mystique.
What do you, Mystique too? What do you have? Before we keep yapping about this, what do you got to show off?
I have a bounce list, which does not have as many card generating cards per se as Dance's list has. It does also have the Kate Bishop. It also has the Hood, so you can get potential demon value, and you have Nico that can also copy cards, is what I was thinking. Also making use of a card that's in the next week's Spotlights and Black Swan. But this was more of be able to get Hood to go off multiple times, Nico with a duplication, and Kate Bishop either potentially to go off multiple times or just getting her arrows to get value is what I was thinking with Victoria Hand. Adding some extra power final turn to slam down with either a Hit Monkey and Sage or even just a Hit Monkey and some of these other cards is kind of what I was thinking in like just a bounce shell. Of course, you have to maximize or minimize the cards you're getting into your hand, like managing that a little bit differently with Dance's list because you know what you're generating for sure, and or not know what you're generating, but like you have Moon Girl, you know what's going to be duplicated in your hand in that sense. So like you have to use your brain a lot with this too. But I was thinking Hit Monkey is not a bad shout as just an alternate to an already pretty established list.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think that part's gonna be a really fun list. I think it'll be really cool to see some cool stuff with Victoria Hand on that front. I actually want, because when you first showed me this, the biggest thing I was feeling was just, I think Bast is the biggest card that I took issue with here, and using some other cards that generate cheaper cards was really where I wanted to bring more of this stuff, because in general, I love some bounce. It's a great time always, but I definitely think that if you're generating a good amount of cards with her. And the biggest thing, actually, this was something that I don't remember who mentioned this, but you don't have to play Victoria Hand on 2.
Yep.
If you've got a bunch of those cards early on, Guess said that. If you have a bunch of these cards earlier on, you can play Victoria Hand on turn 6, and then all of a sudden, all the cards on the board get buffed that you've generated. And that's a really powerful effect that I hadn't thought about. And so that's, again, one of the places where I feel like this could do a lot of really good stuff here.
Yeah, I'm excited for the late turn Victoria Hand. Don't always play her out on curve. Red Guardian is a freaking menace right now, so you'll be seeing a lot of that, and Victoria Hand will be an immediate target for Red Guardian and potentially even for Iron Patriot. Still not 100% certain on the interaction between Red Guardian and Iron Patriot. I'm thinking he does disable the after part of his text, kind of like with Penny Parker. When she gets hit before she gets merged with Spider, I don't think she gets the extra energy.
If she's hit before or after, you said?
Before she merges with the Spider.
Yeah, if she gets hit before she merges, I don't think she gets the extra energy. But I do think as soon as the card is generated with Iron Patriot, it doesn't matter if he's still on the board. I think it would still do the negative cost thing. Because as soon as the card is generated, that effect is basically on said card, I think.
Okay. Because I was assuming the Red Guardian would shut it off, but like I haven't seen it in action to.
Yeah, they haven't answered that. It doesn't read that way to myself, but I've people have been wrong before.
Yeah.
In general, though, it's a very strong start to the season, which is going to be a lot of fun.
And with that in mind, moving over to the next week, we have good old Moonstone, Black Swan, and Nocturne. What does Moonstone do, Dance?
Moonstone has the ongoing effects of your 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here, all of them. So if you have an Ant-Man there, she also has the Ant-Man power. If you have a Quinjet there, she has the Quinjet power. If you have Victoria Hand there, she has Victoria Hand's power. Basically, if you imagine a super scroll for your opponent's cards, instead imagine that for your 1, 2, 3 cost cards at just her location. This is a card that we also saw got buffed in data mines from a 4/5 to a 4/6 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this card's gonna be good. This is a card that I'm I really just don't have a good answer for whether or not I think this is gonna do well.
Yeah, I think this card's going to be good, but maybe not great. I think this, so like, we were talking about Spotlight Weeks earlier too, and I think this Spotlight Week is more niche, but it's all Series 5 cards, and I'm always on the board with an all Series 5 card week. But Moonstone is, sorry, going back to Moonstone, Moonstone is like a 1, 2, and 3 cost onslaught in a sense. Not in the same where she doubles what those cards individually are doing, but in the sense she adds another layer to it, or maybe more of like a Mystique without the on reveal kind of aspect, but it's one dimensional.
That's a really good way to put it too.
So it'll be interesting to see. I was theorizing like putting Moonstone on a Ravona, putting Moonstone on like a Patriot or like a Dazzler kind of situation, maybe to elevate those decks a bit. It would be, honestly, I wish this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 cost cards here, because that really would have opened everything up for real, yeah. Like, that would have been Doom Synergy immediately. It would have been Super Scroll Synergy, Khazar Synergy. But I think this week as a whole is not a bad week. I think Black Swan, yes, is niche, but what she does is really good for how niche it is. And Nocturne's a feel is bad. I think it might be time to make Nocturne 3/5 again. And then, I mean, you got Rocket and Groot doing stuff. You make Nocturne 3/5, of course, you know, she can change locations.
Rocket
and
and
it's
Groot,
different.
in my opinion, don't feel so bad while the Luke Cage bug exists, because it still exists.
It's weird.
So first, they're supposed to steal 1 power from the card, which means they gain 1 power, and then the card that they steal from loses 1 power. However, if your opponent has Luke Cage in the board, Rocket and Groot don't even gain power.
Yeah.
So it's a weird bug in that front, but it is. While that's going on, they don't feel as good of a card personally. Like, I'm probably wrong there, but that's my own personal opinion there. But at least for Moonstone, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if Nocturne to get the extra point of power back. I love it, but I also don't know if I want to agree with that, because I'm scared of. I want to be rightfully cautious about cards coming back into the slot that they were previously at. Because there's a reason they've removed from them. Maybe the meta's changed enough that it's fine, but yeah.
Innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, I think Moonstone's going to be, I don't know, of the cards coming out this season, I think Moonstone might be the lower end of it potentially, but like also Moonstone would work with Victoria Hand, giving all your cards globally the extra buff that were generated too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But this week, pretty decent. As we move to the next week though, we have the homie Bullseye, okay? Bullseye is a 3 cost, 3 power. Activate, discard all cards that cost with a lowercase c, 1 or less from your hand. Afflict that many different enemy cards with -2 power. With it being a lowercase c as well, that means concurrent cost, not base cost. It means what they are at the moment as well. So keep that in mind prospectively. And in this week, we have Kyera and we have Marvel Boy.
Did you notice this, or is that just me noticing that every single card here affects 1 cost cards? I don't know if that's a theme.
I didn't notice that till you said it.
Bullseye discards all the cards that cost 1. Kyera stops your cards from getting destroyed that cost 1. And Marvel Boy buffs up the cards that cost 1. Technically, Bullseye also hits the ones that are less than that, but still, potato potato. Yeah, this is a card that I'm going to be on a cope train for, and whenever we talk about the deck for, I'm going to have the worst deck for it that we're going to talk about, and I don't care because it seems like a fun idea. That's exactly where I'm at. But he's going to be a really cool card. It is, it's our monthly activate card that we've seen. Right, we're just getting a monthly activate card at this point.
We are.
I don't know if we have one data mine for next month, but beyond that, Bullseye's gonna be a really cool card. I'm excited about him personally. I love the concept of him, and I'm excited to see him finally enter the game. I don't know. It's gonna be he's really interesting. I just don't know how good he's gonna be.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to look at it too. It's like you may have two different iterations of a toxic discard deck, whether it's the Gambit iteration or the Bullseye iteration, or you might play both in the same deck and it becomes the ultimate toxic deck. The ultimate toxic deck. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. I'm excited for this card, even as just a discard enabler, whether it's to get your Scorn to go off again or to get more swarms for more collector discard. I'm just very excited to see what people build here. And I think another week where it is all Series 5 cards. I think Kyera is still Series 5. Yeah, they're also Series 5. Yeah. Sorry, I had to double check. Kyera and Marvel Boy. It's a good week to open if you don't have Marvel Boy, especially at lower CLs too, because he's incredibly good for Zoo, as Zoo just continues to be an archetype as soon as it progresses throughout all of just Snap overall. Kyera is a little bit less used, but still a useful card that people just aren't really playing or slotting in at the moment. But I think it's another just solid week to open. All Surfer cards too. But no, don't do Surfer with them. They're kind of Surfer copium.
Do the ultimate Surfer deck. Bullseye, Kyera, and Marvel Boy. God. Wow, man. The combo potential is definitely unreal.
But as we progress, we have Ares.
Yeah. Now, before we even talk about Ares, I just want to say real quick, because we do have the Spotlight Cache on screen. This is incorrect, right? So it was data mined that Kang would be in the Spotlight Cache along with Ares and Misery. But upon the dev video, we see that Miss Marvel is in that slot. So according to the dev video, it will be Ares, Miss Marvel, and Misery. Now, we can actually talk about Ares now. I just wanted to say that real quick, as there was just incorrect information on screen if you are watching.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if you are watching, you should be subscribed. Why aren't you doing that? Go ahead, go down below, subscribe to youtube.com/@TUCCRR. Absolutely great individual who I appreciate. And you should definitely be subscribed over here. Like the video, follow him everywhere. But Tucker, what's Ares doing?
As Dance does a beautiful plugin. I appreciate it, Dance. Which his links are also down below. Please click all of them before you click any of my links. Make sure you subscribe, follow him, and everything as well, please. And let him know if you do. Please comment on every stuff. But anywho, Ares is a on reveal. It's a 4-cost, 6-power card. On reveal, compare the power of the top 3 cards of both decks. If your total is higher, plus 6 power to Ares.
How is this card not good?
Yeah.
This is 412. This is a 412 card 9 times out of 10. If you're playing with Ares, you are building a deck that is going to either put cheap, low power cards into your opponent's deck, or put massive power cards in your own deck so he works even better. How is this not a great card?
Yeah, no, this card is going to be, I mean, you play this inserter, so like you have this as another either plugin or just another card in your Surtur list instead of maybe a Crossbones or like a Cold Obsidian, but you're still running a bunch of big power cards anyways. And I think what I really like about this card, even more than just the ability itself, is the intel you can get. You can kind of guess, at least if you're not running a tracker, of course, because people use Untapped, what potentially you have for your top 3 cards still. And if you're playing this on 5, I mean, you pretty much know what you have still in your deck too, playing into this. But also the intel of what did your opponent still have? Do they potentially have what you think they have that could beat you? Of course, people run different lists all the time, everything too. But like both you and your opponent see what power you guys have remaining on your top 3 cards. So there's that level of, do I snap into this now, seeing what they maybe potentially have? Do I retreat now, even if I hit this Ares, knowing what they might be drawing, kind of thing? Like, it's going to be really cool, like the psychology aspect of this card.
That's the part I'm honestly, I feel like unless, and the deck that I feel like that's going to work with is the Darkhawk style deck you could do with this, because then you're putting cheaper cards into their deck, and thusly your Ares has even higher potential to be higher powered. But unless you're running a Darkhawk deck, I don't feel like you're going to get a lot of value just from learning the total power of the top 3 cards of their deck. Maybe if you're doing this in mill, I don't know. That's a part that I'm going to be wrong about with this card, but that's, I think, the part that I'm personally least excited about with this. With the vast array of cards that are playable and you can put into your deck, I feel like you're going to have a lot of problem guaranteeing what is going to be coming up for your opponent.
Right.
And I say that, and then, because it's not going to, by the way, it's not going to count on going abilities in the same way, right? Those are still the base power, base whatever. But I say that, and then there's obviously going to be plays where you're playing this and you realize, oh, my opponent has 0 power in the next 3 cards. I'm going to snap. So in general, I think it's not going to be good, but there are definitely some edge cases where I could see this being like some really awesome intel.
It's definitely circumstantial. It's not like every single time I'm playing Ares, oh, I'm going to find out what they have. I'm going to be able to snap this. It's like definitely like whatever you built dependent, whatever they have built dependent. I think it's better intel for yourself overall, knowing what you might still have left to draw.
That's what I really like.
Yeah.
Because you know what cards you put into your deck, especially if you have a tracker, you can keep in mind what you haven't drawn yet. And so if you see that you have 24 power in the top 3 cards, you're like, oh, if I'm running a Scar deck, I'm going to get 2 big cards, and then, oh, I haven't drawn my Surtur yet. That's probably going to be in there as well. There's a good chance I won't be able to use Surtur this game. Something like that, where you get that bit of information. I think that's really where that could also do some good stuff as well. This card feels great. It feels like this might be the best card of the month, potentially, I think. Which also means it's coming in a pretty garbage spotlight week, honestly.
Yeah, and I like the argument for card of the month because if you look at some of the other conditions for other cards too, like this one feels more, I don't have to really think too much about what I'm building. I can kind of just plug in and just let the rest happen. Whereas like Iron Patriot, you're wavering between, well, I still am dependent on what I draw and winning this location. Victoria Hand, I have to have my generators and I have to play Victoria Hand as well to make sure the ongoing happens. Moonstone, I have to have some pretty good ongoing abilities in this lane to really get capitalization for this Moonstone. And Bullseye, I'm about to be really toxic. I gotta hope I get, Swarms discarded before I do stuff here. I gotta make sure I have Scorn. Like, there's a couple different ways you to think through it. Yeah, I think I see, and I think I concur with the Ares take there.
So, I mean, with that, what is Ares top of the list? Like, what does your list for this season look like then, as we make our predictions for which cards, whether or not it's going to be the best? What's your tier list for which cards you're most excited for? You think are going to be the most, you're going to enjoy the most for yourself this season? Because we only have 5 cards this season as compared to the 7 we had last, so it's a little bit easier. What do you got?
So cards I'm going to enjoy the most. Answering it based off of that, I would probably go like Bullseye Ares. When I think of like cards I think are going to be the best, I think it would be like Ares Bullseye.
Your own personal tier list, I think is how we've done.
Personal, I'm going to go then Bullseye, Ares, and then I'll probably go Iron Patriot, Victoria Hand, Moonstone, or no. I'm going to go Victoria Hand, Iron Patriot, Moonstone.
Okay. I like that logic. All right. Bullseye, Ares, Moonstone? Wait,
No, Bullseye, Ares, Victoria Hand, Iron Patriot, Moonstone.
Yeah, that's fair. I think my list is actually going to turn out to be pretty similar to yours when I'm looking at these cards. I think I'm swapping. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to say it's, for me personally, Ares, Victoria Hand, Moonstone, Bullseye, and I'm not Bullseye at number 4 doesn't mean that actually I just think the other cards I'm actually more excited about. Yeah. Doesn't mean that I think he's going to be even bad in there. It's just like, if I'm talking about my 5 favorite fingers, I like all of them here. But I'm going to be honest with you. Iron Patriot's my pinky. Yeah. Your pinky finger. Or, I don't know. Which one's the one you use least? I guess, is it? I don't know. Whatever. But I think that, yeah. So I think I'd say Ares, Victoria Hand, Moonstone, Bullseye, Iron Patriot is personally for myself. I think I said the same order twice, which if I did so means I've got my list hopefully correct. No, you said it. You said it the right way. I heard you. Cool. Well, there you go. That's at least where I'm at with these cards, because I think, again, they're going to be fun. I think there's some pretty cool cards here. I just don't know how excited I truly am about like some of them versus others. I don't even think that, like I said, Iron Patriot's going to be that bad. I don't know. In the same way that I'm not really excited by Agent 13. I'm just not super excited by him. Say Agent 13. It kind of is giving Agent 13 vibes. It's similar in the sense of like there's a large pool of generated cards. Yeah. Yes. So.
But that is going to be the January season cards and caches as we now digress to the 2025 wish list that we have for Marvel Snap. 2024 was a very interesting year. We had at least I felt like 3 different roadmaps. I think we had 2 different roadmaps during the course of the year. Oh, we had 3 in total. And it feels like we did hit a good chunk of those goals we had, that were either coming soon or that were, I think is it releasing soon, something, and then in concept?
It was coming soon, in development. And
okay.
I don't remember all the sections, but if everyone else, by the way, if you're forgetting about it, again, I'm just going to continue to plug. Last week we did go through every single thing that happened in the year, including all of those. So we were brain dead at the end of it. So forgive us for forgetting some of them. But if you still remember them, or if you don't remember them, go back. You'll see all the information in there.
Yeah, definitely give it a little peek-see over there. But we don't have a new roadmap at the moment yet for this year, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But what do you have in mind for your 2025 wish list for Marvel Snap?
So I've mentioned this in a couple places, and I think my number one thing I'm going to say just right off the bat is I'll preface it with saying I fell in love with Marvel Snap 2 years ago. It's a blast. There's a reason why I yap about it with you each week. I play it on all this stuff. Obviously I like this game. I think that they just need to work on the fun, and that's it. I think the game itself is really good. I really enjoy it. I've had a blast playing it. But the more recent updates that we've had, I feel like have been lackluster, and I feel like they've been missing really fun aspects of the game and giving us, more chores with the bounties, with even weekend missions aren't really a newer thing, right? But then we have alliances. We've got Deadpool's Diner. Even High Voltage at times, honestly, for me, felt a little bit like chore, I have to get these done before everything refreshes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where I really do enjoy the game. But I feel like there have been a lot of chores, a lot of little things that they've been giving us to do. And that's, if anything, what I want to see them improve upon. I want to see them just improve upon the fun. The core of Marvel Snap, the gameplay itself, is a blast. But Conquest is dead. I don't care about ladder ever since it came out, because guess what? It's just, in my opinion, it's just a number that gets smaller.
Yeah.
Conquest can get really boring at times because they've just not touched it for so long. I just want them to work on the fun. I don't care how it happens. I know they already said they're working on card acquisition, that we're probably going to get, my prediction is March patch, but I don't see the fun as much inside of the latest, I don't even want to say edition, right? But the latest version, they patch it every single month. As we've looked at it more recently, it just doesn't feel crazy. I don't enjoy it as much.
And I think that's totally reasonable. I think adding more fun to the game would be good. I feel like the game, you said...
Whoa, calm down.
No, the game is very grindy. And I wish if they want to keep it as grindy as it is right now, they give us more rewards, or they just give us more incentives in a way to keep us occupied. Maybe character mastery, when that comes out in February, is going to be well, if you do this with this certain character, it'll feel good. If I'm comparing apples to oranges, with Marvel Rivals, you're playing the same character maybe for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, but you get some special stuff for that character. Whenever you get a KO, you get a special animation, you get a special new icon on screen because you've played that character for a certain amount of time and you've completed challenges. If they had maybe an achievement or a challenge mechanic in Marvel Snap where you could get some maybe bonus rewards, not titles, because titles are just so lame, but avatars
I don't
aren't
even
that
use
bad.
titles.
Yeah, card backs, avatars, just even those minute little things, special variants for cards. If they just added some sort of aspect of that to make the grinding more worth it, or if they did just decrease the grinding overall, that would be better. We talk about card acquisition every single yap, which is definitely still an issue. And I feel like we could bring it up again. Of course, that's something we want in 2025. But I think Dance hit it right on the head. We just need more fun. I want to be able to sit and play Marvel Snap for hours and hours and hours and hours again without being like, all right, I got to do this, I got to do that. I want to feel rewarded, and I want to feel some just of that and those endorphins, the joy I had months and months ago. Like, not saying like I'm burnt out on Snap, like I'm not burnt out on it. It's just I have other things that just are more fun, so it's drawing my attention away from Snap and doing other things instead. They just need something. New game mode, new mechanic in the game, not like a card mechanic, but a new achievement kind of thing. That's kind of just where my head's at.
And that's kind of what makes me saddest about, because we've confirmed that Character Masters are going to be coming out in February.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the saddest part of the thing about Character Master, because that's exactly what you were told it was going to be at first. That, like, if you're mentioning Rivals, where it was going to be like, oh, you've predicted this many cards with Daredevil. Oh, you've, what is it? Oh, you've absorbed over 1,000 power in total with Blob.
Yeah.
They just said they couldn't do it. And it sucks that they can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I know other games have, and I don't know why they can't at Snap. I'm not going to pretend like I understand this stuff, nor am I going to pretend to say that they're lying, because they're developing the game. They know more than me. I'm not going to say anything else. But it does, like, I think that's exactly the original concept of Character Master. I feel like could have done so much more for Snap, because it really does bring that life into the game. It gives you that, lets you feel like even if I'm just playing this character or playing this card, I'm getting rewards for playing this card. Give me rewards for, oh, guess what? I played Kraven X amount of times. Oh, I do. Like, it feels like that stuff could have been so much nicer than what we currently have. Even if you can't do it with Character Masters, I wish they could take that information and do that with alliances.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if alliances, it didn't have this, like, they've recently added a thing, by the way, I don't know if you saw in the bounties. They actually had something where it's just spending energy, which I think is my absolute favorite one. Things where you are just rewarded for playing the game, not feeling like you are playing the game incorrectly if you're not doing it a certain way, right? If I'm not putting, I kid you not, I think this was an actual combo I had, Doctor Doom and Thor in the same deck, which I get it. That's like it's meant to be like the Lockjaw style list, right? But that type of stuff, if you give me more interesting things, I would be so much happier with the game. And that's really what I feel like would be really cool. Also, kind of in the 2025 list, 2025 wish list, did you see all the information about the Chinese version of Snap that's out there?
The Chinese version of Snap does it better. Just NetEase being on charge is just...
I disagree, actually. I think it's a grass is greener thing. I don't know if you've seen this stuff. There's definitely some parts that I think are a lot better. One of the things I think is my favorite, and I think that you're probably thinking about when you think of it being better, is you can rent decks.
Oh, that wasn't even one of my top things, but that's incredible.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I saw that, but that's really good.
Yeah, that's something, if we're going to talk about specific things in the wish list, that's one of them, and I would love that. But also, it's apparently a very large, like, gacha system for the majority of the cards in there. Yes, it's quicker because they're trying to bring all the people over there back up into, like, the current slate of the cards that are released. But at the same time, I definitely think that there is a lot of stuff in those cards, or in that game, that is definitely weaker, and I don't enjoy that bit. However, I will say that the biggest thing that really sold me was just the fact that you can rent decks, and if that's actually like a full thing, it's information from Twitter, so take it as you will, right? But renting decks, and imagine it's like a weekly basis where the devs look at a deck of cards, that, like, the top 10 decks of the week, and in the shop, give us a new section in there. You got your cosmetics, you got the variants, give us a section right below there, the token shop, whatever, and just say, hey, for 200 gold, for, I don't know, 100, maybe even for, honestly, I could see for 500 collector tokens, for this amount, for the rest, until, like, the week reset occurs, or maybe for just 7 days from whenever you rent the deck, you can play this deck. This exact deck of cards. It's yours to play whenever this time's over. You no longer have access to this deck. But stuff like that,
500 tokens would be crazy.
It would be crazy, but I'm trying to think, like, what are they going to charge for it? And I think 500 tokens, as much as I don't like it, I would say that's still cheap from what they would probably make you pay for it. I hate to say it, but it would be.
Making someone pay tokens to rent a deck. I think 500. I mean, I think gold more than tokens.
Would you say 500 gold?
Yeah.
That's like, because the logic there is that it's $500. And the reason I didn't say that is because you can't get gold for free on the collection track, whereas you can get tokens. Which is why I actually put the tokens in there, because yes, it is tokens, but you get that more steadily than gold, so it's actually technically less pay to win.
But I would never tell someone to pay tokens to play a deck. I would still save tokens for a new card.
I'd also say they should never pay tokens to buy borders, but here we are in 2025.
Yeah, but like the people that are trying to buy borders are not the same people that are.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe whatever. I could be wrong about the exact amount there, but giving us something like that, where as a newer player, I can jump into the game and I can be like, this top deck looks really interesting, really cool. I can just play this for a week. Sure. Yes, I can't buy. You don't get to buy all the cards outright. You don't get access to everything, but just a way to play a current meta deck. As I'm sitting down here stuck in Series 3, which thankfully they are buffing. Is that this week? Next weweek's gonna be a patch.
Yeah.
So with that patch, we're gonna actually have the update to that stuff, which is gonna be pretty cool. Right? Because that's confirmed. I think that's
the 2K collection tokens. Yeah.
So in general, that's something I might be wanting to see. I think that simple concept, as we know that there is at least some sort of framework for the Chinese version of the game, it exists, so I want to see that in ours.
They also have tournaments built in the game, which is really huge.
True too.
And they have cash prizes and stuff as well for the tournaments, which is something that Snap doesn't have, is a lot of just tournaments. You have to go and make your own tournaments in order to do that, opposed to having something in-game to be able to do that, which I think is what I really enjoy about that atmosphere over there. It makes that level of competitiveness really good, which is what card games normally have and what Snap is also lacking. Yes, there is the ranked leaderboard, but it's not the same as people sweating and doing like tournaments and stuff.
So actually, I was thinking about that. I really want I was thinking about if they introduce them. I don't know how they work in the Chinese version. But if also talking about how I said that I think Conquest is boring. What if when you reach, maybe at the end of each season, when you get Infinity, you reach the Infinity Conquest, you are entered into a pool that you can join a tournament for the next season.
A tournament ticket you get from completing an Infinity Conquest.
Yeah, a tournament ticket, whatever. And there's a tournament happening. You just have to redeem said tournament ticket, and that gives you an entry into it. And maybe you can only have one. Maybe it's like you get unlimited. I think honestly, you should only probably get one. You don't get multiple entries.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will spam the Conquest stuff. But directly let Conquest work into the rest of the game, and that gives us value. And I know that there's a thing right where they give their direct cash prizes, even if they just did gold. Imagine if it was just that. You just get gold. And guess what? That's literally the currency that buys every other currency in Snap. And so you get gold for winning this really high level, and then maybe the top person. And I know it's silly, but like they get like maybe they get an exclusive card back that only the top 100 people in the tournament get. Maybe they get an exclusive what is it called? Like an exclusive title, right? There are people who have exclusive titles from winning the official Snap tournaments in the past. Something like that. And it doesn't even have to be something crazy. But again, if you want to put these tournaments in there, you get a reward sustainable inside of the game. Like I said, the gold for one. And then for two, you get this cool cosmetic that you can only get for that. And it doesn't even have to be good, but it is limited, and that's what matters.
I like that. Even just that limit, like it is, of course, another FOMO mechanic, but like you have to earn it, opposed to like the Spotlight Cash, you can pay for it kind of thing.
And that's part of the reason why I don't even like the ladder system. Yes, there is a point of it where like anyone can play the game and anyone can get to the top ladder. At the same time, the people at the top of the ladder have thousands of points more than, let's just imagine, even at 1,000 plus. There is a big difference there because of the amount of time they play. Yes, they do more than that, right? But that is a very large part of just that bit. So if you get to include this part that is just Conquest, which everyone gets access to, you can play at your own pace. You don't even have to play a lot of. You just win it, and that's it, and that's enough for it. That would be an amazing part. And then you have your Infinity Conquest, and then what is it? As we've been playing Rivals lately, the Grandmaster level of Conquest. The what is it? I don't know what other levels you go for. Platinum. Something. It ties into an existing mechanic that a lot of people don't like, and I get it. maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But then you at least have a reason for it, because this is where they said they want a lot of this competitive tournament to exist inside of Conquest. So I don't know. That's if we're talking about like them doing more stuff in particular regarding these tournaments that are official by them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to give actual money. You don't even have to You don't even have to do this big thing for everyone else. You just tie it into other parts of the game that already exist and give people more of a reason to play the parts of the game that are pretty lackluster.
Mm-hmm. I like it. That's a good tie-in.
It feels like it just does that stuff, which I really like. But I don't know. In general, I feel like I like the stuff that Snap has done. Again, when we look back at it over the last year, the first 6 months felt really awesome. And then it felt like it kind of dropped as that time went on.
As Airstream got added to the game.
You're not hearing me argue. So I'm hoping that when we look at this next... Oh, I dropped my chair. I hope that when we look at this next 6 months of Marvel Snap, when we look at the end, we come out on the other side of it, we're going to be like, oh, there was some pretty cool stuff there.
Yep. So we forgot about 2 major locations that are actually getting added back into the game. One of them is, and then of course the other one is a brand new location. The first location though, Dance.
It's the Peak.
Yeah.
I forgot about this location, and I saw that it was being re-added, and I was like, wait, what? Oh yeah, this one isn't in the game anymore. Kind of similar when Krakoa got re-added to the game. But this is steal the leftmost card from your opponent's hand. Is it just Thanos Agatha Day?
Yeah, it's just Thanos Agatha Day, especially Agatha. It's going to be a trolly Agatha day for sure for her. The hot location, if you guys are wanting to climb, good gravy.
That's going to be it's going to be a very interesting game. Honestly. Oh, you don't also use Spider-Ham on this location. Because then you get to steal. Imagine everyone's. It's one of those things where the meta gets inbred, right? So as soon as everyone starts running a bunch of Agatha, a bunch of Thanos, you then You then use your pig, hit the leftmost card, which is going to be one of those. And as long as you got Mobius on the board, that's a free 10 power, 14 power card. Could be a lot of fun.
That's a really good shout too. I was not thinking about it that way.
Yeah, that's for meta inbredness, whatever. But then there's one more location, which is actually really an interesting location.
Goodness.
Asgard Besieged. After turn 3, add the Destroyer to the winning side.
Winning side gets Destroyer, by the way. Yeah.
So if you're not playing at this location, you've lost your other locations. Assuming you've won. Like, this is a really weird one to try to win. Because if you're trying to win this location, then you can get some really cool stuff. But if you're not trying to win here, then you're kind of okay with it. And you don't care about this other card. But then it gives this is such a cool location. This is a really interesting one. I love the mind games that are going to be thought of with this. Do you want to win or not? It's kind of like that location that destroys the top card of your opponent's deck. Do you want to play there or not?
Do you want to have the Destroyer on your side of the board? And do you want to have the option to, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what people do with this. Do you add Shang-Chi to your list with Fenris Wolf and then like you do some crazy like respawn it with Nimrod kind of thing and then you get Nimrod value? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see.
It's after turn 3, so it won't work that well.
Well, so you have Fenris on the board, okay?
Okay.
And then turn 3, you lose that location so your opponent has Destroyer. You play whatever you want turn 4. You play Nimrod turn 5. You Shang-Chi the Destroyer on turn 6 and then activate Fenris and then you get the Nimrod. Of course, like, well, no, here's what you do. So turn 2, you put Fenris down. Turn 3, you do whatever. Turn 4, you play Shuri. Turn 5, you play Nimrod onto Shuri. Turn 6, you Shang-Chi the Destroyer. And then you activate your Fenris Wolf and then you Carnage. And then you have the Nimrods all across the board. It's a lot of steps, but it's a line.
It's the easiest line in the world. What do you mean? You can easily do it.
The easiest line in the world.
It's the most cohesive line, just like that M'Baku symbiote Spider-Man line. It was so simple.
So
completely
simple.
Great. Now, this is a really cool location. I will say, I think there are some really awesome locations coming out this month.
Yep.
and I'm excited to see how they're going to work in comparison. Like in general, I don't take much issue with this season. There's not a really bad card, not a really bad location. Even if I don't like Iron Patriot, I don't think he's a bad card. I just don't think. I don't have any issue with this coming up season, and I'm hoping I'm not going to take issue with 2025 as we keep moving further into it, tying us back into the section we were actually supposed to be on because we forgot about this, forgot about these locations till just now.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully an incredible year. And once again, we want to say thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We're going to continue the Yap going. This is episode number 22. All of our info will be down in the description below. If you guys are not following Dance on any platforms, please follow him on every single one of them. Next week, we'll be talking about our OTA predictions, the patch predictions, maybe some more shenanigans.
We're trying to delay the episode as well in order to try to, so we can actually talk about the patch
and some data mines, maybe.
But it should be hopefully pretty fun with that bit. I'm excited in general about this upcoming season, but not as excited as I am for everyone who's going to be subscribing to this YouTube channel right now. If you're listening on one of the audio platforms, I think you can follow those as well, by the way, throwing that shout out in there. But yeah, like the video, comment, subscribe, follow Tucker on all the platforms, TUCCRR, absolutely incredible individual who I personally appreciate. And Tucker's my New Year's resolution. I promise to yap more.
To yap more.
I know I haven't been doing enough of it as of
not enough.
Cut you off.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Until next time, you guys have a good one and laters.